Name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Bika-Dirrell.
And today we're going to recap this past Saturday's Showtime Championship Boxing, which in our preview video we covered one of the fights that was actually on Showtime Extreme, which was Deontay Wilder versus Jason Gavin. But on the main card, they had Omar Figueroa versus Daniel Estrada. They had Sakio Bika versus Anthony Dirrell. I almost said Andre. And then we had Sean Porter versus Kell Brook. Since we covered the Deontay Wilder fight, we're going to do a quick blurb on that before we go into the main card. I feel in the Wilder fight that he purposely carried Gavin just to get some rounds. This was the whole point of the fight from the get-go, for him to work on some things, because the purse bid for the Stavern fight isn't even until the middle of September. So they probably won't fight till maybe December, January. And the guy wanted to get some rounds in. I mean, he hasn't been past the fourth round ever. This fight, he made it to the end of the fourth round and before they stopped the fight. So this was his longest fight thus far. And it was all because he chose for it to go that long.
Wasn't a bad decision. I mean, you kind of want to have someone push you. Unfortunately, Gavin took the fight on, 6 days notice?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could do but so much. He's about 20 pounds heavier than he normally is. But, I mean, he gave as good as he could at this point. I mean, he wasn't in there to be, the guy to at least match Deontay Wilder, but to be at least tough enough to take him more than 4 rounds, which didn't happen. But that's neither here nor there. Again, it looked like instead of blasting him out, which he probably could have, he tried to work on a few things, namely his jab and his hook, because he didn't throw a right hand through the first few rounds.
Yeah. So, I guess he got what he wanted, because really this was a can't win fight. I mean, like, people are like, oh, he fighting another tomato can, blah, blah, blah. Or, if he went rounds, they'd be like, oh, why he go rounds with this guy? I mean, that was his whole point, to go rounds. So, he got what he wanted. Hopefully it helps him. We'll see when he fights Stavern. Let's move on. In the opening fight of the Showtime telecast of the World Championship Boxing, we had Omar Figueroa defending his 135-pound belt against Daniel Estrada. Now, in our preview video, we didn't cover that fight because I forgot about it. Sorry. But I put a little caption at the bottom saying that asses were going to get whooped. And asses got whooped. It was actually a very good performance from Figueroa. I think he needs to be matched correctly for him to shine the way he did, like he did on Saturday night. In his previous fight against Jerry Belmontes, he looked very ordinary. And then they gave him a guy who was still a boxer, but more of a flat-footed boxer in Estrada. And we got the highlight reel knockout.
I mean, Omar Figueroa, he did what he was going to do. He was going to press the action, stay in the pocket, try to bullet and just put as many punches together as he could. Again, he's moving up to 140 pounds after beating Daniel Estrada.
Yeah.
Who put up a good fight, but he was fighting off his back foot the whole fight, and his punches really didn't have enough to really deter Omar Figueroa. So we'll have to see what he does at 140 pounds. He could make some noise, but it's even the B-plus fighters at that level are killers.
Yeah, he's about to go into some shark-infested waters. Hopefully he doesn't have a cut. We will see. I mean, also Terrence Crawford's moving up to 140. So that's making that division even deeper than it already is. Let's see how those guys do. One thing I did want to mention about that fight, I saw Figueroa moving his head a lot more than he usually does, which means they are trying to work on his defense, even though Estrada was able to catch him cleanly quite a few times. He's working on it. His defense is getting a little better, and that's really what you want to see from fighters. You want to see them getting better every fight. That's all I got for that one. Let's move on to the 168-pound title match between Sakio Bika, the belt holder at the time, versus Anthony Dirrell, who is, like Daniel Jacobs, a cancer survivor. He also had a bad motorcycle accident which almost ended his boxing career as well. So this man has cheated boxing career death twice to fight Sakio Bika, and this is the second time to try to become the second person to win a world title after becoming cancer free. That alone is a big deal. But if you watch our preview video, we said it probably looked a lot like the first fight, except Dirrell being a little bit more dominant this time and getting the decision that most people believe he should have gotten the first time, which got robbed.
It was what we said. He actually kept a cooler head this time around, even though it's kind of hard to do that versus a fighter like Sakio Bika, who's going to make the fight as tough and as probably dirty as it's gonna get. And just Dirrell was able to weather the storm, and he was able to catch Sakio Bika even a lot more cleanly in his fight throughout the fight, just not in the first half of the fight, which we thought he dominated in the first fight. So this one, he was able to take advantage of his length, his speed, and his better technique in order to bank rounds in the first, let's say, 6 or 7, 8 rounds. And then after there was a point taken away from Bika, I want to say in the 8th round.
Yeah, I think it was 8.
In the 8th round, you see Bika come out like a madman trying to get that round back. And again, Anthony Dirrell was able to, again, weather it and stay as calm as he could and answer back appropriately.
Right.
So, I mean, hats off to Dirrell for making a point, winning the belt, being, the second cancer survivor after Danny Jacobs to win a belt. And looking to see if he can make some more noise in the 168-pound division going forward, because he does have the skill, he does have the dog in him. That is his nickname.
Yep.
And he's just an all-around good fighter. So we'll see where this goes from here.
Yeah. And then as far as Sakio Bika, I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. He's really a low risk, low reward, or a high risk, low reward type of fighter. He's very physically strong, dirty. He's known to bend the rule books. He's been disqualified before. And usually you come out of the fight with him with a cut, some kind of bruising, because he doesn't really hit you cleanly. He kind of just clubs you all over the place. And you really have to work to beat him. So I don't really see a lot of guys going to be going after him unless they have to. So we'll see what happens with Sakio Bika.
He's more of a fighter that a lot of up-and-coming guys in 168 are going to have to get past to get to a championship fight, because he's really going to test their wherewithal and just them being prepared, because he's a guy that would just catch you off guard and just rough you up.
Yeah, and because he's a former champion, he'll probably get into an eliminator somewhere with one of the sanctioning bodies. I think this one was the, which belt was this?
I cannot remember.
There's so many belts out there. But we got Abraham with the belt, Froch has belts, Ward has a couple belts. Yeah, he'll get another shot, but people aren't going to be breaking down the door to fight Sakio Bika. And
they will if they have to.
Right, they'll only fight him if they have to. Let's move on to the main event. And in the main event, we had Sean Showtime Porter versus Kell Special K Brook. Now, in this one, we had a guy coming across the pond, as they say, from England, who has a lot of fanfare over there, very loyal fan base, against Sean Porter, who in recent fights has shown the propensity to get better and learn from the mistakes of his past. Now, in our preview video, we watched a lot of Kell Brook's fights, which we had done so even live, because I tend to like the boxer type of guy, the smooth boxer type he kind of fits that mold. But seeing his flaws, we weren't sure if he had learned from them yet. So we were picking Porter to exploit those flaws that he showed in those videos. I mean, in those previous fights, and he would get the win.
Now, we got some backlash for saying that it would end by the middle rounds, 5, 6, 7 rounds.
Yeah.
We understand. Mostly it was from guys from Britain.
Yeah. But that was no different than when we picked Crawford big over Gamboa, or when we picked Canelo over Lara. Like, people are very loyal to, their fighters.
And so, I mean, we had to respond to one of the posters on the YouTube page. If you go back and look at our preview video, you'll see where we had some back and forth with them, where we went more in depth in what we saw. I rewatched both Carson Jones fight and the Sinchico fight, and I also watched the Malignaggi fight and the Devin Alexander fight. Now, I did say that to this poster that these are the keys for him to win and why we chose Showtime Porter. Mm-hmm. Now, in saying that, Kell Brook did exactly what we said, or I said in that post, to do what he needed to do to win. So we're not saying that. I will say that our prediction was wrong, but
clearly that was wrong.
Yeah, that was wrong. But we did. It's not like we didn't do it. We said if he did these things, he would have a chance and he would win. He did those things. We admit that we were wrong on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the game. Like we have said many times before, we're students of the game. We study, learn, share what we learn some more, share it again. So this was not only a learning experience for us, but a learning experience for Sean Porter and Kell Brook. Because, like Rob said, Kell Brook did the things he needed to do to win, which means he did his homework. He also did very little of the things that we saw that gave him problems in those previous fights, which means himself and his team went back over those fights themselves and said, hey, we need to tighten this up, which they did. He rarely went back with his chin up. He had great timing on his punches. He used lateral movement instead of, like I said, backing up. And the big thing was that he didn't give up ground when Porter clinched him and tried to bully him around. Kell Brook actually looked like the stronger guy that night. And that's rare in a Sean Porter fight because, like we said, this guy fought as high as super middleweight in the amateurs, started off in middleweight, and came down to welterweight, where he usually has a strength advantage over most of the people he fights. This time, that strength advantage was not there. However, he did do some good work in the early rounds. He did some good body punching. He caught Kell Brook a few times up top, but not a lot. It kind of reminded me of the Canelo-Lara fight, except Kell Brook did everything that Lara should have done. Whereas you're seeing the guy not land a lot to the head, but he's landing a lot to the body. But Kell Brook is turning, timing, and staying in punching range, not making it look like Sean Porter was as effective as Lara was making Canelo look. And I think that's a big shout out to Kell Brook for that.
Now, I did like the way Kell Brook, he didn't give up ground. I mean, against the Carson Jones fight, even though Carson Jones came with both hands up, you could see him just, backing up. And in backing up, he was able to throw punches, but I don't think he had so much on him. And he kind of caught himself against the ropes. In this fight, he made sure he stood the ground, and even though I don't think he has a really great jab, he had great timing on that jab. It's not fast, but as Porter was coming in, he was able to put something on it and make Porter think twice. And we also said that his best punching or best combination, because he doesn't throw like many 3 or 4 punch combinations, was that 1-2. Normally he blinds you with it, but he was able to get enough and follow right behind with that 1-2. It's very automatic. And he was able to catch Porter's, especially in the second half of the fight. I had the first 6 rounds even, but then I gave the advantage to Brook in those last 6 rounds. I think he lasted longer in this fight because Porter he's usually 100% all the way through. He's good, but Hakeem mentioned, and I saw this, he might have had trouble making weight this time around because he had to get weighed twice.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I was like, you can't. This is one, you're on the way up. This is one of the biggest fights of your career. Every fight from this point is the biggest fight of your career. Got to hit that weight on target the first time. And I think because of the strength of Kell Brook and he wasn't able to muscle him around, is what got Sean Porter tired later on in the fight. Like, I don't think he won. I think I gave him 1 round after round 7. I think round 7 was his best round of the fight. The rest of them in between them were really close. So I thought the scorecards were pretty much right on it. The first half of the fight was really close. You could kind of go tit for tat on that. I think Kell Brook hurt him at the end of the first round. Sean Porter had some good work in those rounds in between then. And then from like round 7, he had his best round. He caught him backing up a few times with some hard hooks and crosses to the head. But then after that, it was all Kell Brook.
Yeah, I saw it about 8 rounds to 4. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the judges had that. One of them had 9-3. And one of them had it a draw, which they gave. And surprisingly, that was the judge from the UK.
Which probably the swing rounds, he probably gave some to Porter, while the other fighters, because a lot of these rounds there were some clear-cut rounds, but there were a lot of rounds that were just really close. Yeah. You could see the Brook landing.
More so during the first 6 rounds.
Yeah, you could see Kell Brook landing those obvious "I hit you" punches while Sean worked on the inside. So I mean, it's Brook won, but it depends on how you wanted to score some of those rounds because again, Porter works on the inside. He can make it very rough. He kind of nullify your work by getting in there and working himself. Yeah. So I mean, hats off to Kell Brook. Where does it go from here? Apparently he called out Keith Thurman. I personally don't think he should do that.
I think because beforehand when he was going to fight Devin Alexander, I thought that was a perfect fight for him. I really think they should re-explore that fight. I think he can really shine against Devin Alexander, and that would be a big name from a former champ, a former multi-time champ. That would really, really put his name out there, get him. I know they want to do a big fight with Amir Khan, which wants to get into Mayweather sweepstakes. He's got a good road laid out for him. Now, as far as Sean Porter, I know a lot of people are going to try to discredit him because he lost, and I think that's going to be a mistake. He ran into a better man on Saturday night. That doesn't mean that he's a hype job or he's overrated or any of those other things that people like to throw out when people lose off a knee-jerk reaction. He could very well learn from his mistakes that he made in the fight and become better, like Kell Brook did on the fights that he had some trouble in to shine in this fight.
And now Sean Porter, he does want a rematch versus Kell Brook.
Right.
Because one of the cards was a draw, the other one were fairly close, and I think he feels that with the rematch he could do a lot better. Other thing is, Kell Brook could probably do a lot better in the rematch as well, so it would be interesting to see. Yeah. I think it won't be a direct rematch unless that was part of
unless he had it in the contract. And I doubt he did the way they were talking, especially the way Kell Brook's promoter is talking. They're already planning the next fight. They're going to do a showcase back home, try to get Amir Khan, then maybe get Mayweather after that.
Right.
That's a good plan. But like we said at the end of the preview video, we mentioned all the things about how we thought that, Sean Porter was going to shine that night. But it was up to Kell Brook to shut all of that down. He did. So we'll find out if whoever steps in the ring next with him can do the same thing. We don't want to discredit either of these guys because I think they both did a heck of a job on this past Saturday. A lot of people are trying to discredit Brook by saying he held too much and blah, blah, blah. That was part of the game plan probably. It worked. It was effective. It nullified Sean Porter. The ref didn't say anything about it. Sean Porter couldn't stop it. Oh well. Same thing with Vladimir Klitschko. And then Amir Khan did the same thing against Louis Collazo. You gotta do what you gotta do, son. And we felt he did what he had to do. Pulled out the victory. So hats off to him. Hats off to Sean Porter. We're looking forward to seeing both guys again and seeing what they can do in the future. You got anything else?
Nothing else on this card. We posted a video on Facebook. It was with Brian Ferry and Gabriel Rosado for
Big Knockouts boxing.
Big Knockout boxing that happened the same night in Vegas. Pretty good action, but that's what you could expect from these two guys. They got the right guys. Adds kind of a wrinkle to the whole boxing game, so it's interesting to see. If you want to check it out, like I said, it's on our YouTube. It's on our
Facebook page.
So other than that, I have nothing else.
Yep. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching this episode. Hope you like it. If you got a comment, leave it below. You can like us on Facebook, Capital Combat. Find us on Gmail, capitalcombat@gmail.com. Google Plus, we're also under Capital Combat. Send us any questions, any comments. Email us with your thoughts. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.